Hello, and welcome to Story Time. This week we will be listening to the story The 12 Dancing Princesses. This is from my favorite treasury of fairy tales, although this is not the only book that it's in, but this is from a book that I've had since I was a little girl. This story is really cool and it's got some great illustrations. However, today we'll be doing something a little different, and I'm just going to be telling you the story myself. This fairy tale is actually a little more uncommon than some of the ones you may already know, and it comes from the country Germany, and it was first written by the Brothers Grimm. This is one of my favorites, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. All right, for the story. Once upon a time, there lived a king and a queen who had 12 beautiful daughters. Many of them were born as twins or triplets, but the eldest and the youngest were born alone, so the mom didn't really have too many pregnancies. The girls loved to dance. The king was really protective of them, though, and so every time they asked to go out and dance and have fun, he would say no, and he would lock their doors to make sure that they did not go anywhere and that they stayed home. However, each morning, the king was really confused when he would open their bedrooms to say hi, and he would find that their shoes were worn down and full of holes. It seemed like the girls had gone dancing, but the king was always sure to make sure that their rooms were locked, and the princesses would not tell anyone what happened with their shoes. One day, the king decided to see if anyone could help him find out what was going on. So he sent out an announcement to the people, and he said that whoever could solve the mystery of the shoes would get to choose one of the princesses to marry. Many boys in the kingdom were really excited to try because the princesses were known far and wide as being both beautiful and kind. However, there was a catch. The king said that if the person could not find out the mystery in 3 nights, he would put them in prison until the mystery was solved. Many people came from far and wide to try and solve the mystery of the 12 dancing princesses. Most who tried and failed were princes from other kingdoms. But one day, a poor country boy named Michael decided to try his hand. He walked very far to reach the palace, and he was really hungry and tired. Before he came to the palace, he stopped next to an old woman on the road. She was dressed in rags and carrying a lunch basket. Michael saw that she had dropped coin on the ground, and he wanted to pick it up and make sure that she got it back. The old woman was really thankful, and she said, "Thank you." And Michael said, "You're welcome. Hey, I haven't really eaten in a few days. Is there any way I could have a bite of food from your basket?" The old woman smiled and said, "Of course, but I do have something better for you than food." Michael was really interested, and he asked her what she meant. "I know you're here to see if you can solve the mystery of the 12 dancing princesses. Here is a cloak that makes you invisible. Also, when you meet the princesses, make sure not to drink anything that they give you." Michael said thank you to the old woman for the cloak and for her advice, and then he walked the rest of the way to the king's castle. There, he asked the king's permission to try and solve the mystery and was given a bedroom right next to the princesses. Before bedtime, the oldest princess, Princess Aurora, came to say hi to Michael. She offered him a small cake and a cup of juice, and Michael ate the cake. However, he remembered what the old woman said about drinking and decided not to drink the juice. He secretly put it away and laid down and pretended to go to sleep. Princess Aurora thought Michael was asleep because she had put a sleeping potion in his juice, and she thought he drank it. She went back to her and her sister's room and was locked in for the night. Once the princesses were inside, they began to get dressed in beautiful dresses, sparkling jewels, and pretty slippers. They were all happy and excited, for it was time to dance. Princess Aurora gathered her sisters and walked up to one of the beds. She knocked 3 times on the wooden headboard, and then a secret passageway opened. "Hurry," said one of the triplets. Michael, who had followed behind Princess Aurora, was amazed by the secret passageway. He followed the princesses wearing his invisibility cloak so that they could not see him. In his shock, he almost didn't make it into the secret passageway and had to hurry. Because of this, he accidentally bumped into the youngest princess, Alicia. She gasped and looked behind her. All of the princesses stopped for a moment, and Michael froze to wait and see if they caught him. But Princess Aurora called out to her sister, "Come on, we're going to be late." And Alicia looked one more time behind herself and then followed her sisters. Michael sighed in relief, and he followed them. As they walk, they come to a beautiful forest that has trees with leaves made of silver, gold, and diamond that sparkled and shined in the moonlight. Michael was absolutely amazed, and he decided to take a silver leaf and put it in his pocket. Finally, the 12 princesses get out of the forest, and they make their way to an enchanted castle surrounded by fog. Michael is behind them. Inside the castle, 12 handsome princes waited to take the princesses to a beautiful ballroom decorated with lights and music, with food and drinking, and there were also tables where they could set down their objects. Once the princesses were swept away to dance, Michael decided to take the first night to eat and drink and observe the princesses dancing. The next morning, the princesses rushed back home to make it back to their room before the sun came up. Michael went ahead of the sisters and hurried and pretended to be asleep in his bed for when they would check on him. And so, when Princess Aurora checked on him, she was happy to see that he was still asleep, and she told her sisters, "See, everything's fine." Michael had such a wonderful time at the enchanted castle that he decided to wait to tell the king. After all, he still had 2 more days. On the second night, Michael decided to take another leaf from one of the gold trees in the forest, and he put that one in his pocket as well. And then on the third and final night, Michael took a leaf from one of the diamond trees. This time, though, the diamond leaf made a loud cracking noise as it was snapped off the tree. Princess Alicia, whom Michael had accidentally bumped into on the first night, startled and turned around. "What was that?" said Princess Alicia. The sisters once again thought that Alicia was imagining sounds, and so Princess Aurora said, "It is nothing, you only imagined it." And so the princesses made their way to the enchanted castle for a third night of dancing. The princesses once again danced until sunrise and then hurried back to their room. And just like every night, their shoes were once again full of holes. Just before they left the castle, Michael decided to take a golden goblet from the table. As this was Michael's third day, it was time to report to the king. Once he was in front of the king in the throne room, the king said, "Do you know where my daughters dance away their shoes every night?" Michael took out the golden goblet from the enchanted castle, the silver leaf, the gold leaf, and the diamond leaf from the forest. And then he told the king the story about how the princesses left their room through a secret passageway from 3 knocks, a walk through a forest of silver, gold, and diamond trees, and danced the night away in an enchanted castle. Once Michael told this story, the king called for his 12 daughters. "Girls, does this young man tell the truth about where you go every night?" said the king. The princesses saw the proof that Michael had brought, and they knew that they would have to tell the truth. Princess Aurora also wanted to tell the truth because she had come to enjoy Michael's company every night when they talked before bed. She looked at Michael and the king, and she said, "Yes, father, it is true." The king said to Michael, "Young man, you have done well, and you have solved the mystery. As I promised, you may choose one of my daughters to be your wife. And someday you too will rule the kingdom." Michael was happy, and he smiled at all of the princesses. But there was only one who had his love. Michael looked at Princess Aurora and asked if she would be his wife. Aurora smiled, and she said, "Yes." Michael kissed her hand and told her, "I have loved you since I first met you." Michael and Aurora then knelt before the king to receive his blessing. And a few months later, the palace hosted a royal wedding that was more grand than all of the dances at the enchanted castle. And after the wedding, the king also released all of those princes who had been put in prison for failing to solve the mystery. Some of them went home, and some of them stayed to marry the other 11 princesses. So, That is the story of the 12 Dancing Princesses. I really hope you guys enjoyed this story. If you would like to read more about it, check out the comic version by Emily Carroll, located in Fairy Tale Comics. This is a really cool graphic novel version of some awesome fairy tales. Also, the book that I got this story from, The Treasury of Fairy Tales, has some other really awesome stories by Bette Killian and Dorothy Goldenberg. It has Rapunzel, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Pinocchio, and so many more. I hope you guys really enjoy this and have an awesome day.